Let me tell you why you're here.
Boxing.
From here, if you look, he's really tightening up and get all the bicep, tricep, wrist flexors, wrist extensors. They're in the front of the arm there, and that is tightening up. You can see his fist. He's getting the kinetic chain from his foot, but it's his arms and the top of his back muscles that he gets a lot of power from.
Okay, so in the movie The Matrix, we're in a computer-controlled reality, right? They projected a false reality into people's minds to entertain them while their bodies are being exploited by the machines. And it's very similar here in the real world. You are inside of a reality which is false. It doesn't necessarily have to be computer-controlled, but it's certainly media influenced.
But who controls it?
The people who are behind the media machine.
The people who are behind the media machine.
Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. So about a week ago, I saw this video of Andrew Tate throwing a punch with his brother, I'm assuming that is. And you know, for anybody that doesn't know, I cover a lot of boxing tutorials for beginners mainly. I cover a lot of punch technique and some scientific videos on punching. So I thought it'd be interesting to break down Andrew Tate's technique, how it pertains into a boxing match. I know he's a kickboxer, and obviously he has a potential fight coming up with Jake Paul. Then I switched on the news today and the dude's been arrested. So I'm like, should I make the video? I don't want to jump off the back of all this, you know, like media frenzy, but I was going to make the video anyway. I had it planned. I've already started to write the music for this video. So I was like, you know what, just do the video. And so in this video, I am going to break down Andrew Tate's punching technique, pros and cons, and how it pertains into a boxing ring. Let's go.
You're here because you know something.
Okay, first things first, it's important to know that, you know, I'm coming from a boxing angle, and I know Andrew Tate was a former kickboxer world champion, so I know kickboxers tend to stand up a little bit more upright. Obviously they use their legs a lot more, so some of the critiques I have might be a little bit unfair because he isn't a boxer. So it's important to know that. So I'm also just gonna, you know, do my best to explain how this might pertain into the fight with Jake Paul, or if he was going to fight a boxer as well. So there's going to be some boxing analogies perhaps, or some references towards boxing. So without further ado, let's look at the video right now.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door.
And assess Mr. Tate's ability to throw a punch, because what I saw, this actually looks pretty damn good, but there are some glaring issues that I've also seen him get dropped from in a kickboxing fight and repeatedly hit with the same punch because of what he does in his training. Now obviously it's important to know, as you can see, he's wearing slippers and a pair of jeans. They're just in some backyard. I think his brother's, I don't know what his brother's wearing, but they're obviously having a casual workout, so that's important to know. And but we'll freeze frame this, and I'm going to go step by step. We're going to talk about some scientific elements and where some of the power comes from, and what he does really well and what he could do better.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
In terms of like the stance and how he fights with his hands down a lot from what I've seen, which is why he gets dropped. Or he gets hit bang on the chin. He's very upright as well. I know a lot of kickboxers are, because they do stand up and they use their front leg as almost like a jab weapon. But the uprightness is an issue, especially if you're going to be in a boxing match. So as you can see right here, he's very upright. Okay, hands down by his side, and punching, really, like pros can get away with it, but I think, when you're punching from the hip, you're fighting gravity. Okay, you're punching up, and he's incredibly strong, and you can tell he does a lot of burpees or a lot of press ups. We'll get onto his back muscles in a minute, because that's where a lot of the power is coming from, and his arm really. So I'm going to freeze frame this right when he moves. Okay, one thing he's doing right there. Okay, he's moving other parts of his body to give a tail to your opponent that they're going to punch. All right, now this is not necessarily a good thing. It's like you look for anything, okay, any movement from the hands. Moving his hands, they're coming from down low. again, he's just on the pads out and his brother in the backyard, not a big deal. Okay, so there he's moved his hands even more, especially the left hand. That's giving more signals away. But right from here, this is where it gets impressive, right? Because he's now, I want to talk about kinetic chain briefly. A lot of the rhythm starts in the foot. Okay, you can see his foot right here, and he's pressing down on it, and that's where the kinetic chain starts, which is an alignment of an energy and the alignment of your joints, which travels through your body, which they all have to connect. Okay, but it starts in the foot. And you can see that, and you can see the movement. And if anyone's interested in this, I made a video just about this just last week about the scientific approach to a right hand, and I'll talk about this. So I'll leave the link up here if you want to know more about kinetic chain. But it starts there, and you can see it's traveling through his leg, okay? And his hands are moving as well, and then we'll freeze frame it. And this is where I'm like, wow, this guy's actually, it ends up quite impressive, because he looks like he's getting a tremendous amount of power from his arm and his back muscles here. Now, again, he's going uphill, up fighting gravity, and the punch from here, boom, it's great. That bit's really good. It's impressive, and it comes through with a lot of power. And if you look at here, right, his shoulders, yeah, is all the way through the punch, okay? And it's protecting his chin here, so it's a good punch, because this shoulder here, which is out front, ends up at the back, which is, you get all the power travels through that. And you can see right here, you can see the definition of his shoulders, right? This is the rotator cuff, yeah. He's been doing his press ups, man, because that's a lot of power in there. And his arm muscles. He's turned the knuckle over, and he's got this part of the arm protecting his chin. All right. And it comes across very powerful. And if you notice too, he makes a little warrior chant. That's exhaling, okay? That's really important. It's breathing. You don't have to make a warrior chant, but you do have to breathe, and that lets you do both. If you want to make that's a good thing, because it makes you feel more aggressive, but it also gives you, the exhalation, which is critical. So looking at this from the standpoint, not bad, but let's look a little bit closer at some things that aren't particularly great, because as I mentioned before about the movement with the hands, you're giving your opponent a tell, not great in my opinion. But right here, this is the biggest issue I have. It's his lead leg. All right, if you look at I'm gonna highlight it here. It is incredibly straight. Now, part of this could be the fact he's a kickboxer. Again, I've never kickboxed. I've only boxed in an amateur fight, handful of amateur fights, nothing crazy at all. I'm just doing this video for a bit of fun. And I do study, technique, and I've had training from some really good trainers. So I'm just passing some information down, basically. But this right here, and I'm gonna try and find a clip where I saw he was dropped based off of his front foot, balance or lack of. And when you're so upright like that, if that punch doesn't land, his balance probably won't be as good as if he's got that front foot. Again, this is a boxer's balance I'm talking about, but that's a big issue for me, the straightness of his leg. And as I say, I'll put up an exact same image of where he got dropped after that. And I've never seen anybody get dropped like that, because his foot went sideways under him and his other foot went sideways, and it was the weirdest thing. So I was like, that's a balance issue. And if he fights like that against Jake Paul, he's going to get chinned. I mean, look, if he lands one of those shots on Jake Paul and Jake Paul takes that, I'll be very impressed. But Jake Paul's got some fluidity about him, and he's a bit of a mover, and he's a bit more calculated and more defensive when he needs to be. From what I've seen, I haven't seen loads of Jake Paul, but he ain't going to stand in front of Tate and let him reel off right hands to his chin. No way. But it's after the punch really what a lot of boxers, they move. They either roll their head, they don't have their legs straight up like that, and they're getting out there thinking about what's coming next. But again, for the benefit of the doubt, I know they're in the backyard, it ain't that serious, but when you're practicing so much and you're just doing repetition, that can actually be a negative effect, because it's like, you know, if you're just practicing on the bag and you're just staying in one place hitting the bag without moving, it's not good. You're not taught to do that. You're taught to move around the bag, because it's not reality. The bag doesn't hit back, but also the bag doesn't move. So, well, some do, but you know what I mean. So it's interesting, you know, but I think ultimately he gets a heck of a lot of power. Let's look at it again. Heck of a lot of power, okay? From here, if you look, he's really tightening up and get all the bicep, tricep, wrist flexors, wrist extensors. They're in the front of the arm there, and that is tightening up. You can see his fist. He's getting the kinetic chain from his foot, but it's his arms and the top of his back muscles that he gets a lot of power from, which is, I think, where most of the power comes from. And, you know, credit to him. Smash, boom, and he sticks that shoulder all the way through. That's a key part to this punch, and a key part to why he gets a lot of power as well. So, but, you know, fighting like this, some people would call it suicide boxing. You don't fight with your hands down and your chin in the air, because you're gonna get chinned, bro. You're gonna get chin, Tate. But look, that's it from me. This is just a bit of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And if there's anybody that knows more than me, please leave it in the comments, because I'm dying to learn a bit more about technique as well, especially kickboxing. You know, it's not something I've ever done, but if you've got some knowledge and some wisdom, shoot it in the comments, and you know, we can discuss. But in terms of Andrew Tate, the man, the polarizing figure, you know, I mean, I'm not going to comment on what's just happened. I know absolutely nothing about it, but I will say, if you don't know much about it, then just watch an entire video of his, because there's a lot of, you know, short clips going out there that are used deliberately to demonize people. So that's all I'll say on that. If you like more videos like this, or you want to check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I've got loads more videos coming up. And you know, 2023 is upon us, so have yourself a lovely New Year's Eve, and I hope everybody has a great new year, and you know, be the best you can be. All right, I'm out of here. Boxing on the edge.
Okay, so in the movie The Matrix, we're in a computer-controlled reality, right? They projected a false reality into people's minds to entertain them while their bodies are being exploited by the machines. And it's very similar here in the real world. You are inside of a reality which is false. It doesn't necessarily have to be computer controlled, but it's certainly media influenced.
But who controls it?
The people who are behind the media machine.
The people who are behind the media machine.
Boxing.